Live. We are live.
Yeah.
Well, howdy, folks. Jörg here again from Dreamland Resort. And today I have a very special guest here with me, Michal Rokita, straight from Poland. A lot of you guys may know him. He's the guy who has made a name for himself doing some great Area 51 panorama photos, Area 51, and also TTR. He's very handy with his camera. And we're going to talk about some of his expeditions today. And then in the second part, we are going to take some questions. I imagine that a lot of you have questions. So we'll be taking some questions that you might have for Michael. And with that, welcome, Michael. Welcome on the show. I'm happy to have you here.
Happy to hear you all. Happy to see you all that are coming online right now. I will be happy to ask any questions, so feel free to ask, and we'll lead the show.
Well, Linda is in the chat. Dragon Rose, that's Linda. She says,
Oh,
"Hi, Michael.
hello,
Welcome
Linda.
to Rachel." So we're going to take it a little easy for a minute here to give people a chance to tune in. I'm working on a trailer. I'm going to put a trailer together so that my show is kind of preceded by a trailer and give people a chance to tune in. So we'll give it a minute or two. I see there's already 28 people there. Uh, Hello, everybody. Hello to, let's see, we got England. We got, let's see, do we have anyone from Germany yet? Not yet. But greetings to you, wherever you are. That looks like somebody from Poland,
Yeah.
maybe. One of your,
Also,
one of your,
Asoshin. Oh,
one of your
hello,
buddies.
Alexandra. Hello.
So we got people from all over the world wanting to hear what you have to say today.
I will be delighted to expand on the subject.
And we already have 38 people in here. Ich komme aus Deutschland, Alex. Okay, we have somebody from Germany. Hi from the CIA. Well, great. I'm so happy that the CIA could join us too today. And well, let's start to get into it. I know you all are really curious what Michael has to say. So, Michael,
Oh,
tell us.
Joshua. Hello, Joshua. Nice to
Huh?
see you coming here.
Very good, very good. I'm glad to see some familiar names here. That's awesome. So, we're going to wait a little bit with the questions. We're going to do. I'm going to talk to Mike a little bit, give him a chance to tell about his adventures, and then maybe in about half an hour or so, 45 minutes, we'll get a chance to. You guys can have a chance to ask him some questions. So, Michael, tell us a little bit about what got you into this. How did you get interested in Area 51 and into this hobby that we're having?
It all started to me about 12 or 13 years ago. I was back then in the primary school or the end of it. I just started my high school back then. And it started very simply for me. My father taught me about, and that is something that I will never forget, about unidentified flying objects, which are vaguely named as UFOs. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that was something that I was very intrigued in because I wanted to learn about it as much as I could because I wanted and tried to believe it. But at the same time, something was telling just right in the back of my head that it's not possible that the gray aliens, or call it as you like, the other forms of life, are among us.
Yeah.
There is something behind it that needs to be put it as a main one for the rest people to believe in it, while the real stuff are happening behind it.
So
So
as you progressed, you learned about the real Area 51.
yes, and but the UFO stuff was something that brought me to the Area 51 subjects
Mhm.
and to the secret aviation in itself. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is how it started.
No, it's a very similar story for me. When I first came here, I had no idea what to expect. And then as you go along and you meet people and you see how easy it is to misidentify things out here,
Yeah,
and you come to realize how cool that stuff is that they play with over there. And you had
yes,
some amazing sightings from Tikaboo. We'll,
I
we'll
have.
talk about that in a
Oh, yeah.
minute here. But how did you? When was the first? When did it become real for you that you can actually pack a suitcase, come over here, and hike Tikaboo?
It was roughly about the same time I started my online researches, I would say. And it was the same time I first visited the dreamlandresort.com website. And it was a large website back then even. It's still progressing to this day, but it was large website back then as well. And I just read some sighting reports. And after that, I got the impression, well, maybe there is some option for me to start my own journeys, do my own researches. But back then, I was like 14 or 15 years old. So I wouldn't take my way up to United States for myself, and it need to wait for some years. But all these years, I waited for it. So I knew that someday I will be able to pack my luggage, go here with some decent camera, take some photographs, and hopefully catch something interesting.
And you certainly
Mm.
have. I mean, there's folks. I think Linda might have pasted the link to Michael's bio in the chat on my dreamlandresort.com website. Go to Michael's bio. There's links to all his. There it is. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Dragon Rose. For, go to his bio page and look at his panoramas. He's done some great work on Tonopah Test Range, which I really haven't talked about much yet on this channel. I'll keep that for a little later. Tonopah Test Range and Area 51. He's done some great photography with excellent equipment, and he knows how to use it. So talk a little bit about how you prepare for these trips and how you execute the trips then.
The preparation is something that is really prominent to start with, because you need to learn some kind of information. You need to know information in advance for you to make the right decisions when you are here. So you couldn't just pack your things, fly to United States, and then go to the range to take some good photographs, because you wouldn't be safe. Because there are many situations that may occur, there are many events that may happen to you that you couldn't take in a blank. I mean, you couldn't predict it at all. For example, just as a quick example, for me it was like there was no connection, internet connection over here, and I had no idea about it because I never thought it would be a case. So I never asked a question about it to anyone. So that was something that may surprise me. And just in consequence of that, you may get lost because you have no GPS communication and you need to prepare your road, your paths that you want to use in advance and save it online. That is just an example of how to prepare, among other things.
Yeah. Well, there's also it's very remote here.
Yes.
People don't realize how remote it is. If you break down here, you got to have a plan B. You got to make sure that you got a decent vehicle to come out here.
Yeah, that means I suffered the vehicle breakdown at one point as well, but it happened in town of Alamo, so I was happy with that. If it would come down in the Tonopah where I was, as the brain was built, I couldn't be so happy.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, people don't realize let's say you go out to Brainwash Butte. A lot of you might be familiar with it. It's a view spot for TTR. Or if you go out to Tikaboo to see Area 51, and if you break down, you're really in trouble. You're hiking back quite a ways until you even have phone service.
Yeah.
And you may even have a hard time getting a tow truck to come out there to tow you out of there.
Yeah, that couldn't be possible in a flash. It would take 1 or 2 days minimum to take some kind of vehicle to bring you back on the road, let alone even do some mechanic work with it to work it properly. But even for transporting stuff, I would say it's almost impossible. But it makes this place unique because you are there alone. You can, be happy with your loneliness.
Yeah.
And when you're living in a big communities, like for example, me in Krakow, which is the old capital of Poland, we have a big communities there because it's a large city. So it's good portion of calmness for me to come here
To
because
get
there is a
away.
silence
Yeah.
everywhere beside the aircraft, and that's what I like.
That's exactly what did it for me when I first came
Wow.
here. The peace and quiet and the desert, the wide open space, that is what did it for me and for a lot of people. I think a lot of us that come out here, and but at the same time, that is a real problem sometimes. If you need help,
Yeah.
it's not going to be easy to get help. And one of the things we always advocate on the website is let somebody know where you are going and when you expect to be back.
Yeah.
And in case you get in trouble, in case you can't communicate, at least somebody knows where you are. So, and I think we've done that from very early on when you started coming out here. You've
Yes.
always checked in with me, and
Yeah, that's correct.
I might have given you a tip or two of what to do. I think those things are really important when folks come out here. They don't realize. When I first came out here, man, I got a rental car in Las Vegas, and I drove out here and I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. What is this desert and heat and cold in the winter? And you really got to experience this to really appreciate it. And that's part of what I'm trying to do with the website and also with your trip reports that are in the trip report section, to let people know, to tell people about what did you run into.
Yeah, there were at least a few situations. And there was one situation when the vehicle broke down that I mentioned, but there was again the situation when I had to just stay next to the highway and just waiting for someone to stop to take me back to Vegas because
Yeah.
my car was broken and it was left on the parking of the Sunset View. There was a great steer is a great staff that could handle it and could help me in that situation. But my flight back to Poland was the same day. So I had to get to Las Vegas as fast as possible to get the new car and get all the way to Los Angeles because my starting point or taking off point was in back then in Los Angeles. So I had to take this long way in a matter of several hours. So it was pedal to the metal. It was something I had to take.
Sounds like quite an ordeal. And we got this was a rental car that
This
you
was
had
a
rented in Las Vegas. And did they pick it up in Alamo?
I got lost track of it after that. They never contacted me. I never needed to pay anything extra for it. So I guess it was on their fault
Wow.
entirely. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting. So yeah, that is a real consideration. If you got a flight out of the country or out of town, if you're flying into Vegas and you're renting a car and you break down, you may have a problem. I'm glad that they took care of it the way they did.
I was going back to my girlfriend, which was we were a newbie. We were just together like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get as quick as possible because I knew she waited for me, and I wanted she was just hurting her breathe to just see me. Yeah. And I need to do for her. I need to do for her. Let alone this black project.
Yeah, you don't want to get her all upset. That's not a good thing.
No.
So I'm glad it all worked out. Let's talk a little bit about you've hiked Tikaboo a few times, and little teaser, there may be a surprise live stream here in a couple of days. That's all I'm saying right now about this. You've hiked Tikaboo a couple of times. Tell us a little bit about how you prepare for that, and all the ins and outs of doing that.
I used, as a main point of my researches that were made in advance, I used the dreamlandresort.com website. So I had a somewhat good idea of how to do that. But of course, the idea in preparation or in advance of how we're planning it is something else than doing it in real time. Because you don't have the information about the elements, about the smoothness of the peak or the elevation thing.
Yeah.
So you couldn't predict how difficult it may be, especially if you are not a good climber, if you're not keeping a plan for doing some trips even in your home country. It's difficult to make the Tikaboo just out of blue, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
It's difficult because the roughness of the terrain that is surrounding you, the slipping stones, the parts of the hike that are very steep, made it sometimes really hard work to get to.
The 100 yards of hell, as we call it,
Yes.
that really slippery
That's
part.
the very part, yeah.
That is really bad. And of course, now you're dealing with the washout.
Yeah, there's another
That
famous
makes
washout.
it
Yeah.
makes the hike a little bit, quite a bit longer actually to get up there. And so, okay, what do you take when you go up there? What do you take in terms of technical equipment, camera, and so forth? How did you go about picking all that out?
For the medical supplies, I taking the most important thing, so something like the painkillers or something.
Mhm.
And this is just for a small, like the things to take with you to not absorb your space in your backpack, because you need to
Mhm.
save the time for minerals. You need to have a lot of mineral water with you. I would say even for a one single day, you will, during the climbing and during the stay at the peak, let alone climbing down, you need to have at least 6 or 7 liters of mineral water with you. And
That's
it's something that is really important when taking the Tikaboo, because you're getting exhausted when you're getting up, you're getting heated by the sun when you are up, and you're getting exhausted when you're getting down.
Mhm.
So you need to have the minerals at maximum level as you could imagine.
Yeah.
Even food, like for example, some kind of bread or anything, is not so important as mineral water.
That's right. And in America we measure in gallons.
Yeah.
So what you said equates to about a gallon and a half or a gallon and three quarter, almost 2 gallons of water.
Yes.
So that's one thing that I can't stress enough, or we can't stress enough. You are going to need a lot of water.
Yes.
And some people, I've done it once on a hike to Tikaboo. I've actually left bottled water along the way, marked the GPS location where I left it. So I got a little, I lightened the load a little bit, left some water here, went a little further, left some water here. So I had water for the way down.
Oh,
But
that's a
then
good idea. I
if
haven't thought
you,
about this.
what also happened to me once is that I couldn't find the water on the way down, and I got in
Oh.
real trouble because I was running out of water and I just couldn't find it.
It was
So
probably eaten by aliens.
maybe the aliens got it
they
exactly.
got it.
So, but anyway, water is the single most important thing. And of course, I think you had a pretty interesting experience with the cold one time when you went up there in October. What was that like?
It's a history that comes and gone and comes and gone, but it's very remarkable, because I remember is that being the yesterday or just 2 days ago. It was the time I decided to climb Tikaboo late in the afternoon, which was in the beginning not the best ideas to start with. I thought that if I will start in October about 4 p.m. and will start my climbing from the washout spot, which is located in fair distance from Tikaboo itself, because from the washout to the top of the Tikaboo it's 7 kilometers.
Yeah, that's
one
about
direction. So
4 miles.
yeah, so it's about 4 miles to walk to the peak.
Mhm.
But you are in the foot of the peak, which takes it like 2 kilometers from the washout. You need to take everything with you and just walk with it. You are not in a good mobility as walking without this equipment, so your time span for doing that longer.
Mhm.
And after that, when I got to the fourth summit or just next to it, it was completely dark.
Wow.
It was completely dark. There was totally no lights beside the blue sky, and the small stars that were just lighting there over there. There were some shooting stars that are beautiful to see, but sorry.
You want some water?
Yeah, maybe I will take a bottle.
You go ahead and tell the audience. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So it was like me who tried to make the right decision at the moment, because I could make a pause, stay there, but it was just after the loose stones. So I wouldn't believe me to not moving in at night. So I was fearing if I could, thank you so much, if I could not roll myself down and just make me hurt somehow. So I decided to finish climbing in total darkness.
Yeah, that's dangerous. And from there on, from the fall summit, you're getting around that rocky outcropping, and then
Yes.
you're getting into trees. And I can only imagine. Did you have a flashlight with you?
I had only the flashlight in my phone over here.
Well,
It
it's
was
better
the
than
only-
nothing, but man, that can get you in real trouble.
Yeah, I used to have the phone connected to the power bank back then because I need to charge my phone. At the same time, I was looking on the GPS indicator to provide me in a good direction to the top of the Tikaboo Peak. So beside it, I had to run the light, I would say, from the phone. So it was quite demanding to keep the battery alive. So I had to take all these things. In one hand, keep my power bank, in other hand, keep my phone, and was just trying to find the terrain. And gladly, I was able to do that. But the stones, the rocky stones, the next portion, the closest portion to the top of the Pikaboo, was something that is unforgettable for me because I was so feared back then that if could something happen, if I would, even make some kind of hurt to myself, I had no connection to people, no connection to work, no light, no ideas how to live.
Well, that's the thing. People don't realize that you're in the middle of nowhere. There is no phone
Yes.
connection, and there won't be anyone maybe for weeks. I mean, people go up to Tikaboo sometimes, but there may
Yeah.
not be anyone coming up there for weeks. And you're going to be up there. If you break an ankle or something like that, you're in real trouble.
Yes, that was
So
real.
that's why I'm always suggesting people let somebody know where they're going.
Definitely.
And but it is very easy. I've seen it on one occasion. I've actually had it happen myself that I took a wrong turn and I got into terrain that was increasingly difficult, and uh, it got pretty real pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I got out of it obviously, but it was pretty hairy for a moment.
It may take from the very pleasant situation to the hell in 1 minute.
Yep, exactly.
It just takes 1 minute to be in a different world completely.
Well, I'm glad you got out of that, and I think it was pretty cold when you're at the top.
I misremembered it. The situation or event I just described was in May 2023.
Okay.
And what you were asking me was October 2023, so the same night but later visit. And yeah, I started my climbing about 2 p.m. So it was fairly in a good light. So it was still during the day. I finished climbing during the day, and I just didn't have the impression that it could be so coldy at night.
Yeah,
because the wind
cold.
wasn't blowing at the time I was climbing. It started to blowing really hardly about when the sun setting down. And after the sun set down, it was like minus 15 degree of centimeter of Celsius, to say the least. I had the impression that it's almost freezing there, and because of the wind. The wind is a big factor at Tikaboo. It's a big factor. You need to take it into account when planning your trip, when planning things to take. You need to have something warm to take on you. You need to have some warming suppliers with you, because when the situation will just surprise you like me back then, it may be devastating for you to even spend a night over there.
I would imagine that. Well, I don't know if you can freeze to death in one night, but it can certainly incapacitate you for to the point where you just can't go back down.
Yeah, I remember that thing. I was just lying on these rocks because I didn't have the a backpack full of supplies of warmest, as mentioned. I didn't have a tent. I didn't have a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
So I have just my clothes that were on me already, and I need to take some rest. So I was lying on the rocks, just making some kind of
waiting for the sun to come up.
Let's keep it that way.
It's people don't realize how harsh the temperature or the climate here in the valley is in Rachel, and Tikaboo is even worse than that. I mean, it drops, and there's actually, I think on my website I have a link to the Tikaboo weather station where you can see the temperature over the day, and you can see how quickly it drops as soon as the sun goes down, it gets cold, and then, like you said, the wind picks
Yeah.
up. You're right there on the cliff. You're basically on one side, the side towards the base. There's a sheer cliff, so the wind comes right up there,
That's correct.
and there is no way to get out of the wind. If you want to see the base, you're in the wind,
Yeah,
and it gets very cold very quickly. And
very good.
at that point, you're pretty much at the point of no return. You It starts getting dark on you. It's getting cold, and you cannot go back down. If you go back down, you're probably going to get yourself in even more trouble than
Yes.
staying up there.
Yes.
So if ever anything like that happens to anyone who might happen to be listening right now, the best advice I can give you:
Yes.
go back down a little bit, go on the other side of the on the downslope of the hill, on the side where the wind doesn't catch you so much, and tough it out somehow.
Yes.
But
That is.
it gets ugly, and uh, I maybe you think we should talk about what we're planning on doing?
Maybe we can. Why not?
Give them a little teaser here. We are actually planning on Tikaboo hike tomorrow. We may do a little live stream from up there. Depends on whether or not I have phone coverage, whether or not I can get on the internet. But we are planning on going up there tomorrow, and we will be taking heating packs and tent and all the good stuff, because it will be around freezing at night. The big thing is, if you have a tent, at least you can get out of the damn wind. But if you're up there and the wind is just howling around you, it is ugly. So
Yeah, really. And we are not making it even higher impression. It was really
it's
very tough to me.
it's if you're not used to it, it can really get to you, and the wind will pick up. It always does. So
There was one thing during that night that happened. During I was up lying on the stones over there, and I didn't have any ability to move from that because I was so
wow.
well equipped with the tripod, with the camera, that if I would go down without that stuff in total darkness, I will hurt myself or damage my stuff. So I decided to stay at the top of Tikaboo, and just it was the sleepless night for me. I couldn't even take a short nap because it was so cold, but I could at least see the base.
Yeah.
So that was a good portion.
And you did have, was it that morning when you had that experience when the chopper came out? Tell us a little bit about that.
That was the moment when the base, there is a weather camera located at Tikaboo at the top of it that probably can catch a glimpse of what is going on there.
Yeah,
Probably
weather,
camera, call it as we like. We know what it means. So yeah, it was like me looking on the direction of the camera, seeing it's moving. So I knew they know probably that I'm over there.
Okay.
And they probably thought that I could get down just before sunset. But it was my goal to be there at night and to be there early in the morning when something interesting may happen. So I decided to stay. And yeah, because of that, I had no ability to even sleep for a moment. The night was so long, I could just see a multitude of shooting stars getting down there. There was plenty, beautiful view to see. Especially, I was lucky my girlfriend then because it would be so romantic.
Not in the cold.
Not in the cold, no. But yeah, it was happening over the night, and I was still sitting there. I had my scanner running, so I could knew what when something is going to happen. And at the first portion, there was some kind of very vivid communication. I didn't recognize what the base is telling, but there was probably some kind of preparation for a test on a different channel. And after that, there was the Groom Lake mission. Yeah, I would say that was what the scanner was displaying, and there was primary mission was. And back then, they were just intersection with themselves, just corresponding with themselves, speaking to each other. And in a short distance, a short time period, I could hear the Black Hawk helicopter coming to my way from direction of the groom base.
The groom security
The groom
helicopter.
security
Yeah.
helicopter, as it ruled out to be. And it was very interesting moment for me. One of the most exciting moments during my trips because I saw it coming above me, so above on the top of Tikaboo, made impression to look at me from the angle of 35 degrees, and it stopped like hovering for 15 or 12, 15 or 20 seconds, I would say. They made a round around me
Mhm.
and stopped again, and then it went off to the direction of the base again. And
Wow.
after that, after several minutes, after the helicopter get back to groom, I could see the information on the scanner, so I could hear the communication that the primary mission has cancelled because Watchdog Tango is in effect.
Because
It
you're
was
on
not the
Tikaboo.
exact wording they used, but you can find the trip report and the scanner recording attached to this trip report on the website on the trip section reports. And yeah, this was something clandestine or secret that was supposed to be taking off that morning. They probably sent the base chopper to check if I'm still alive,
Mhm.
because if I wouldn't move at all, they would probably launch it. So I could get at least more better impression. I could just like, no, nothing is happening, nothing is happening.
I wonder
They'll
what
just launch it.
I wonder what they would have done if you would just be laying there like dead. But yeah, they wanted to know if you're still up there, and the weather camera
Weather.
probably saw you at some point during the
Mm.
night. And I've listened, of course, listened to the scanner recording on the trip report. Let me see if I can find it real quick and paste that in the chat. That is really very interesting. You can very clearly hear that the helicopter is coming out and
Yeah.
reports back that he's still up there. And then Watchdog Tango is in effect. Watchdog is an old expression that they use for any condition when somebody uncleared is in the vicinity. And so basically, don't do anything classified right now. There's somebody watching who shouldn't be.
Yes, that's the
Is
one.
that, is that,
Is
no,
the cancel
that's
test at groom after base.
this one
It's,
right
yeah.
here. Yeah. Let me see if I can get that link
Yeah.
pasted in the chat here.
There's a radio transcript on the page of the report, and there is,
Yeah.
of course, the audio file for you to listen.
Yeah, you can listen to
You are
the
welcome to listen. It's
audio
very
file.
interesting.
You can listen to it. We're not making this up.
Yeah.
I've actually heard the same thing here in Rachel. I was monitoring from here. You can listen to it. It's real. I mean, as much as I really don't like to waste money on their end, they had to prepare everything and then scrap the test and this and that. But it is interesting that they are even concerned about people 26 miles away on
Right.
Tikaboo.
Yeah.
So it had to be something very site sensitive that they brought out there.
That was probably something very prominent
Yeah.
that they wanted to test or launch that day. And I interrupted it because of my presence, but they probably made, that's my idea, they made huge about the level of type of the spotter that is there. Because if they see someone with binoculars, it is probably not so powered as the long lens camera.
Right.
And they could see the huge and heavy and steady tripod and large camera with long lens attached to it. So they probably got imagined that I probably could see the base very clearly.
Yeah.
And just because of that, just because they knew the resolution of the camera, probably because I posted some photos from that camera before, so they know probably what model and what company it is. So they know it details. So would probably use it as a pointer of what to do.
Yeah, and we have several of your panoramas on the Dreamland Resort website.
You're welcome to see.
It's all linked. What's that?
I just said that everyone is welcome to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Check it out. Go to Michael's bio. I think Linda posted the link here earlier, and click on the various panoramas. It is absolutely incredible what he's doing with his camera.
Thank you very much.
He's not only a tough guy for toughing it out on Tikaboo, but he also knows how to use his camera. So let's talk a little bit about that. How did you find out what camera to use, and what works, what doesn't work?
At my first trip in October 2022, I took very basic camera with a short lens, so I couldn't even get a good portion of Groom Lake base to know what it shows. I could see the buildings, the runway, and that would be about it. So I almost instantly got a kind of idea to prepare a better equipment for the next trip that I knew would happen. And because I knew that I will get back to the spaces as much as possible and as frequent as possible, because I just love it. I just love it, guys. So yeah, it was like me trying to find a solution to not take some kind of heavy equipment with me or large equipment with me, like for example, telescope or something like that. I could try to find the solution between performance and quality, the good solution. And was just looking around on the internet, were asking some people online, and got to information that I could try to use the Nikon P1000, which is the equipment I'm using and using to this day still. And back then, I have no idea how to set it properly, so I was using the fully automatic mode. Maybe not the automatic I call in itself, but there is one mode that you can plug on that makes your pictures taken in a raw format, so you can edit it very easily later. That, but it gives you the best settings that the camera can set for herself, I would say. But I didn't know how to set it properly, so my first panoramas wasn't as sharp as the ones that are today, because in meantime, during during the time of another trips, I learned some new abilities the camera have, so I could use it in terrain.
I think
Like that.
Yeah, it's a learning process.
Long process. Yeah.
Did you ever, when back in the days when we used to spotting scope, the camera attached to the spotting scope because the lenses were not that good back then and all this good stuff. And what we did is we went on hills where you had similar conditions and just did test shoots where I could do it without having to hike up Tikaboo and find out up there that what I'm doing doesn't really work. Did you ever do any of that? Like in your hometown, in your home area, do some test shoots?
I didn't have the ability to test on exactly same conditions, but I did try on lower peaks, on just small climbing, and it was fine on me back then. But I didn't know that the camera has so large spectrum of settings that may try to even enhance the quality. So it was just getting step by step, trip by trip, each time like in making a progress. And now I think I'm on a setup that is as much as it can.
I think you got it dialed in. You got it right there where it needs to be. It's perfect. And that's always one thing. You have great equipment, you know how to use it, but then if it's a crappy day, if it's a windy day with a lot of dust in the air, the best equipment and the most skills won't do you any good because it's just hazy.
It's just hazy, and you couldn't do with even the most expensive equipment on the earth. You couldn't pass through this. But there is one thing that I could mention here, is that even the summer months, which is out of curiosity for me, are even better for long distance photography than winter months. Even though the temperatures are higher, there is not so UV filters around the bluish that is surrounding you, so it did not disrupt your colors in your camera, so it didn't make it unsharp, the image. It makes it sharper to climb and took a long distance photos in August. The best quality photos I made from Tikaboo were last time when we visited along with Gabrielle, so my girlfriend, in August.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
because in the summer, those of you who have done long distance photography are probably familiar with what we call heat haze. That heat visibly rising off the ground and distorting your image. In Tikaboo, of course, when you do Tikaboo, you got the sun in your back early morning. So that's when you do your photos on Tikaboo, very
Yes,
early morning,
right.
before that heat haze even becomes a problem, I guess.
Yeah, there is a time window you need to prepare for doing photos from Tikaboo. It starts about 6 a.m. in the morning,
Mhm.
and I think it lasts like 7:30 maximum.
Mhm.
So you have the time span of 1 hour and 30 minutes to take good quality photos, and after that, it's a pleasure take it because you may get a good quality photos during the day when you are enough lucky, but most of the times it will be all in haze. So
Yeah. And a lot
that's
of
why I
people,
started to thinking about staying there at night
yeah,
to be prepared just instantly
that's
early in
what
the
you got
morning.
to do.
Yeah.
You got to be there early morning, and unless you want to climb in half darkness before the sun starts coming up, you got to be there at night.
Yes.
And then, of course, also an added benefit is you might catch something cool flying out of the base at night, and you did that once, don't you?
Yeah, probably.
Well, you have photos of. I think it's another trip report of yours where, let's see, where you have these nighttime photography, where you
Oh,
saw some stuff flying.
yes, that
Let's
was
see.
just to mention that that was the same Tikaboo
Is
visit
it this one?
that I nearly suffered a death at all from the wind. It was no,
It's not this one,
not
is
this.
it?
Is that
Uh,
is the October's?
it's NTDR. Uh,
No, not that. Oh, there is no. Oh, I
I don't
think
think we did a
there is
trip
no trip
report on
report
that.
about that.
But you did see something, and I think you have a on your YouTube channel,
Yes.
which that I should. It's also on my main page, folks. If you go to my main page, there is a direct link to Michael's YouTube channel, and let me see if I can pull that up really quick. On his YouTube channel, he has video of that nighttime
Yeah.
mission that he saw. Let's see if we can find that real quick.
Yeah, because the
Here it
one
is.
you mentioning is something that happened about 12 hours before the Watchdog Tango was in effect, and I think it's cancer test. Yeah,
Is that this?
that's this. Yeah, because I published the video about it yet later that it happened.
I mean, there are so many now that I'm looking at it again. Folks, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste
Yeah.
his main channel here, and then you can go and explore yourself. He's got some great videos on his page of stuff. And I'm not talking about Janet's, I'm talking about real stuff, like the
Yeah.
cool stuff flying in and out of Groom. Definitely go check it out. He's got, let's see, this one, the Sabres in and out of Groom. Definitely go check it out. He's got, let's see, this one, the Sabres, and this was the one where you saw the, let's
That
see,
one. Okay then.
where you saw the, what was it again? That was the one where they checked you out with a
Yeah, that is the latest
Black
visit.
Hawk.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's paste this one in the chat.
But that is from the summertime, from last August, when we were visiting along with my girlfriend Gabriela. We were just getting a dog Tikaboo, I would say. Not so Tikaboo, but Tikaboo, let's call it as it is.
Yeah, we'll call it Tikaboo.
Yeah, they call it Tikaboo. And I got the impression, maybe it was just my impression back then, maybe not, but I am unable to judge because when I was on the porch into getting to the spot where we were staying at, I just heard the loud engine noise. So you can judge where the aircraft is coming from, what direction it takes because you're hearing it. So I knew it is on the left from me, and I took a glance to see it on the left, and there was a F-35, I would think a 35B fighter
Mhm.
that was seemed to hover steady above me.
The F-35 has the ability to hover in the air. It's the Navy version that is actually able to hover in midair.
Yeah, and that was interesting because I wouldn't believe myself if it got impression on me if I'm just not seeing what I would like to see. But the Gabriela spotted the same thing that the aircraft is like hovering.
Mhm.
So it was like me, wow, there's F-35 probably in the direction, coming in the direction of Groom. So there is something, some mission going on. And I managed to take the very blurry photo when it's just trying to make a focus of the camera, but it's for some reason it was so quick action that I forget to put the right settings on. And since I set the camera better, it was already getting away from us. So that I couldn't record the moment when it was hovering. But still to this day, it keeps me thinking it was hovering because its engine tone, when there was a transition from just steady having to the time it moved, made radically different. The sound differs.
Yeah,
So-
I believe it. I mean, um, some of the video footage that you have of that day, you can even see something that looked like a possible F-35 landing and taking off from Groom. So
Yes.
and also on that day, I don't know if you got it associated with that video. There was actually some Janets, the planes that bring people in and out of Area 51 that bring people from other facilities. There was some Janet flights going to, was it China Lake or was it Pont Mugu? Pont Mugu. So there was definitely something going on at Area 51 where people were brought in the morning and flown back in the late afternoon.
That's correct.
And that's when that mission happened. So there was something going on at Area 51, and they probably, if they were aware of the fact that you were there, they probably didn't consider you enough of a threat to scrap the test, but they might have changed procedures a little bit. And
Maybe.
that's what they do. If Watchdog Tango is in effect, it basically means be careful, don't give anything away. If we can do whatever we can do safely without the guy seeing us, then fine. So, they have a lot of money on the line. If they scrap a test entirely, that's costing them a lot of money. And that one time that they did that for you,
there was
it had to be something pretty spectacular that they were. Maybe the F-47.
Maybe that was the case, or maybe something even bigger, something that might be operational. We don't know at the moment.
The F-47 has been flying out of Groom since, they say, since 2019.
Wow, that is something that maybe it was one of the 2,000 movers that were coming on and landing on the one dark evening that I happened to be there. Yeah. And it was the case that the Watchdog Tango effect situation that we mentioned happened 12 hours after that, early in the morning, and the 2,000 movers that were coming parallel, one after another, to the base were just in the evening back when it was a bit coldy. And it was like me listening on the scanner, and I listened that there are 2,000 marathon approach because the Janet driver was just mentioning it with the transition to the Groom Tower. So I knew that there are probably two fighters. I'm not saying the Phasmomer is something clandestine, just saying that this is probably a regular fighter. But one of them I managed to record the video of, and it's a little bit shaky, so you cannot tell what is it. But in other one landed, I could take a photo of it just in the background of hangar 18 or one of those hangars over there. So I could judge by the light that are emitting by the hangar itself that it was probably a regular F-16. But if one was F-16, the other might have been something else. And the F-16 was as a trainer, or for example.
You typically, most of you are probably familiar with procedures during a test mission. You typically have at least one chase aircraft. If you have something experimental going up, there's at least one chase aircraft flying with it. So the F-16 that you saw and that you identified as such might have been the chase aircraft, and the other one that was a little less exposed might have been a test article that they were, for all you know, the F-47 question mark, maybe.
Yeah, maybe this is what when the president was admitted that they have a F-47 coming online, and I got to know that it was flying in the range from 2019, so for 5 years already. It almost instantly made my impression that it could be one of those aircraft that were landing that day.
Isn't that amazing that they've been flying that thing out of Groom with everybody coming out here and watching and scanning and doing whatnot? They can fly this thing for 6 years and nobody even knows about it.
That's the same thing that with the Boeing a bird of prey.
Yeah, exactly.
No one caught it, and there were plenty of spotters back in the day.
Yeah.
Even more than today. and no one caught even a glimpse of it or have any idea about its shape because it was a surprise for everyone.
Yeah, the bird of prey and the
Yeah.
tacit blue that led to the B2 that tested a lot of the stuff for the B2. You know, they fly it out of Broome and nobody knows about it. Then all of a sudden it shows up in a museum and
Yeah.
they say, well, I guess we didn't tell you about it. Sorry, here it is. But
so do tell.
yeah, it's amazing. And I think that's also maybe a little bit of justification for what we are doing. We are not out
Yes.
here to expose anything. We are out here because we are curious, just as curious as some people in the Air Force. I mean, I've had Air Force people ask me, "Well, do you know what's going on at Rome?" And they are just as curious, but we are not here to expose anything.
Yes,
And
I would say.
tell me if I'm wrong. If I've always had, if I would have ever seen something that was blatantly in your face, um, secret, and that I knew I shouldn't be posting this, I would have never posted this.
I wouldn't even post about it on my website, on my YouTube channel. If I would record something that is truly Bragg project, and I would knew that it is Bragg project, because I could distinguish or judge it by the shape or the sound or any kind of other things that I could mention. I wouldn't post it because of the security thing. I'm not here to harass things. I'm not here to make anything against the country.
Right.
I'm not United States. No.
We do this essentially. We do this because we admire what they're
Yes.
doing out there. We have a lot of respect for what
Yes,
they're
that's
doing.
a kind of respect. That's a kind of my hobby. That's a kind of what leading me because I like this atmosphere that is surrounding this beautiful mystery place. But I'm not anyone that could hurt any kind of national, any kind of government. I'm not United States citizen, so I have no idea why would I just make things bad.
Yeah.
Even this is just my passion. I'm doing and loving what I'm doing. So
Exactly.
it's like this.
It's a hobby, it's a passion,
Yes,
and we're not out there to hurt anyone.
Yes.
And I
could-
saw,
yeah.
we're going to get, folks, don't run away. We're going to get to questions here in a
Gotta
minute.
be-
I saw one question in the chat earlier. Somebody was asking if you ever had any harassment, if you ever had anyone asking you what are you doing. Have you been talked to at all by anyone? Have you had any trouble coming to the country at customs?
No, I did never have, and I would say even more. I had the situation on my first visit that I was overtaking my vehicle, so that one I was driving it, overtaking another car in a wrong place. So the policeman was stopping me because of that thing
Oh,
that I made broken the law. I didn't know that it's not possible to just overpass at that place on the road, and the long story short, the policeman asked me what I'm doing here. Then I'm just looking for some Area 51 photography and looking to the base. And what you're doing is forbidden. Oh, wait, Sheriff, I'm doing it from the public view spots. And okay. So it was like that.
really?
Yeah, that was the thing.
That was here in our county, in Alamo?
In Alamo, yeah.
Really?
Near the gas station.
Nice. So did they give you a ticket?
No.
Nice.
Because the policeman said that he wants to just check my documents. I had the international driving license with me, and my Polish driving license. So if he could me, if I'm just saying the truth, and if everything in the system is fine, then it's totally fine. And he just mentioned that it's the last time. I just proud that I won't break the law again because it was not my intention to do, and it was not my intention. I just didn't know that it's not possible to overtake there. So it was like that for me. Then it was one of those adventures that you couldn't predict. Yet you meet them, and then after some time, you will remember to the rest of your life.
Wow.
In Poland, no one ever even got me caught for speeding. It was like, I'm on the foreign ground, in a new place, on the first visit, alone. And then I got some kind of transition with the police, which may be hurting, especially if you're not citizen. And I was not, I didn't know.
He could have easily given you a ticket. That was nice of him to let you go with a warning.
Yeah. And
And
imagine I was like 300 meters from staying in Sunset View Alamo. It
yeah,
was just over there, so I was yet so close, yet so far.
yeah. Well, but that's another thing. If you guys come to visit, just take it easy going through these towns. Uh, our law enforcement is really not out to get you, contrary to what some people may say. They're not out to get you. They're just keeping our community safe. And so when you visit, just don't pass in the middle of Alamo. It's no passing
No,
zone, that kind
no.
of stuff.
I check it. Don't
And
do it.
just common sense, and
Yeah.
everything will be fine. They are probably just as curious
Yeah.
about what goes on at Area 51 than we are, because it's not like our deputies go out there all the
Yeah.
time and get the grand tour. Even security at Area
Yeah.
51 doesn't always. I mean, it's very strictly compartmentalized,
Yes.
and
It's the name of the game.
that's the
Actually.
name of the game.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, exactly. So they are just as curious, and I've had some interesting conversations with some of our law enforcement officers here. They are just keeping our community safe. They are not the enemy. Just respect what they have to say, and
Yeah.
life will be good.
Yeah.
Same thing with security. If you go out there, there's do's and don'ts, and that's part of what my website stands for. You can go to my website and you can find all the do's and don'ts. Come out here, have a good time. Our county always welcomes tourism. Just don't go crazy and do stuff that
Yeah.
you shouldn't be doing.
That was I wanted to put in addition. I have seen no reason. I have seen totally no idea of why people like to play with the security.
Yeah.
This is the fair line that what we are doing. So everyone knows that Tikaboo is on public land.
Mhm.
I would never thought of even getting close to the forbidden zone, let alone even going above it or just coming through this.
Yeah.
So why people are still getting at this and trying to play some silly games with the security or something? This is bad move because it doesn't improve things. It makes it worse,
Yeah.
and it even makes it worse for the people that are trying to be as happy as they want. Yeah, they're trying to get more views. If you want to get more views on your videos from that locations here, you may try to take a good quality photos from the legal viewpoints, but don't play silly games with the security that is doing their work.
Excellent.
That
Exactly.
is just stupid,
Mhm.
I would say.
I've done in my early years. I'll be the first to admit I've done some crazy things that I'm not very proud of. Played cat and mouse with the security.
No,
You
no.
go through that phase, but I've done. This was very early on, when you kind of try to find your way around what
Oh.
is going on. And I very quickly realized what you just said. There's nothing to be gained from that. You're probably getting these people pissed off at you,
Yes.
and then the next encounter they may not let you go, but they may come down full force on you.
You need to tolerate the rules. You need to tolerate the fair line. You need to know the fair line. You need to know what is good, what is bad, and
Yeah.
don't mix the things because
And
it's not necessary.
Listening to some of the communications, sometimes I can tell that it's a job for them. It's like very matter of fact. Well, you got somebody coming your way, and well, there's 3 vehicles coming your way. Okay, well, we'll deal with it.
Yeah.
It's a job for them. They do a job. I'm talking about both Groom Security and also our sheriff's department. And why would you want to make it any harder for them?
Yeah.
We all get along, and they know that I'm sure they, one way or another, know that we're going to be up on Tikaboo soon.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can plan their mission around it. We're only going to be there for one night, and uh, we'll just it's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be confrontational,
No,
harassment,
no.
this or that. It's all in good fun. We're having a good time, and I can tell you, I'm looking forward to my first Tikaboo hike in probably a good 8 years.
And I'm happy to hear and happy to just satisfy this that we'll do it together
Yeah, this is awesome.
as a main team.
I've always wanted to do this, and Well, the new Dreamland Resort team.
Yeah, a new age.
And with that, let's take some questions.
Of
I
course.
know, folks, thanks for sticking with us. Uh, if you want to ask some questions, and thanks for all the love that is coming up here.
Yeah, if you would like to get any questions, there is no bad question, no wrong questions on my site, so you can ask whatever you want. And if you would just want to write to me, shoot me an email or shoot me a message on Facebook. I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah,
Especially that I would like to achieve some point to make younger generations to make more frequent visits to the range because it's so amazing, so excited thing to do. Why is the younger generation just trying to focus themselves on the TV, on the games?
yeah.
And now they are real sad because the original interceptors back in the 90s started doing researches of Groom Lake, and there is like interruption in time right now, which I would like to put it to the grave and start to do the trips for more people.
It's time for the
Yeah,
new generation, and
I
you're the first of the next generation
I'm the
to run
leader.
with it. I mean, us old folks, we are ready to sit back and watch the show, and for you guys to take over. So I'm really happy to see that
Yeah.
you're doing it, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate your friendship and you doing this and taking. You know, I'm not saying I'm ready to sit back in my rocking chair and watch the world go by, but it is nice to see somebody energetic to want to do this. And I really hope, and folks, if you're young and you want to connect with Michael, his email address is on his bio
Of
page.
course. Yeah.
Get in touch with him and form a group. And guys, do your thing.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. And with that, let's see. Gary was asking, what kind of a camera? Can you say what model of camera, what equipment you're using?
Of course, it's a Nikon 5-1000. It's the long lens camera. It's 3000 millimeters of the long lens, and then it's put to the manual mode, which the settings I won't go into because it's something secret for me. I want to
Okay.
keep it just for myself. But it's the regular camera. There is a UFO filter that is just doing the right stuff, and beside it, I'm using the scanner, the regular scanner. I just forgot the name of the model, but
Don't you have some kind of a way to record it on your phone?
yeah, I'm recording it on my smartphone. So I just plug. There is a instruction of how I'm doing it at 300 website already, but it's in basic and raw speaking, it's like me connecting the cable to the scanner. Then from the scanner there is a USB, or no, not USB. It's not USB.
It's an audio. I think
It's
it's
an
an
audio.
audio
Yeah,
cable.
it's an audio
Yeah.
cable
Mhm.
to the port in the smartphone, and I just using the freeware equipment from Google Play Store or something to record it, so it automatically activated. So when there is some kind of communications, it records the sound. When there is no communications, it remains silent. So it is how it was like. Georg is just checking the website, so the link he will provide will
Here's the
remain,
link.
yeah, exactly what, yeah, that's the link. It will remain the line of what I'm doing of recording the videos, and I'm recording it in MP3 mode, so I could easily make some kind of editing mode after that in post-production using Sony Vegas Pro Studio or something. So it's very comparable, very easy to do. And yeah, the scanner is running on the frequency that I have of the base. So
Which are also on the Dreamland
we are
Resort
also on the
website.
Dreamlanders are it's nothing secret.
So,
Yeah,
okay, the truth of Groom. Can you guys do a reaction trailer to S4 Bob Lazar story? That story has been chewed on so many times.
yeah. If you want, sorry,
Go for it.
if you want to learn or just hear a good word on the Lazar, Bob Lazar S4 story or the UFO phenomenon over here, there is a good portion of information, very good research made out by Tom Mahut back in the day.
Mhm.
He made at the top of it, and he's an amazing guy when it comes to research. He's so detailed, and he's so looking directly into the truth. So if he speaks something, then it means it's true.
he did a
Same with
great,
Peter Merlin.
yeah, exactly, and he did a great analysis on the Lazar story. And he's not only a great researcher, but he's also a very funny writer.
Yeah.
His writings are funny and witty. It's I think an older version. I believe he also has a newer website. At one point, he was kind enough to let me use his story on the Dreamland Resort website, where he basically talks about the Lazar story, all the ins and outs, and comes to the conclusion that a lot of his story just does not line up. So I think his what is his other hand or something? Is that the website or?
It's the other hand. It's forbidden in the country, so I need to use VPN to see one. But he has, of course, some. I was able to check that he is able to post on Reddit as well. So there is some plenty of links to his website as well.
Yeah, so he's got a great analysis on the Lazar story out there.
Yeah.
And then Vague Craig asks, a lot of your photos are labeled with very specific buildings descriptions and possible users. How do you come to those conclusions? It's probably a lot of it is probably goes back to labels that I got on the Dreamland Resort website.
Yes, it's all originating from those labels that were put to the Dreamland Resort website back in these days. And there was the Google Ads plugin, so KMZ file that you can still easily load to your Google Earth program. And there is a list of the buildings with particular locations. So I'm basing on it.
Yeah, and basically those labels in turn that you can download from our maps section. Those labels come from, to some degree, from leaked documents, from authentic documents that have leaked over the years.
Some of those from security manual that Glenn Campbell have found out, I believe so, yeah.
Yes, and some of it is really just based on our observation of people going to Tikaboo and observing certain things and coming up with conclusions. So I would say at this point, it is probably 50-50 based on observations and based on leaked stuff, whatever. So B. Carlson, Michael's Insta, I'm not sure what that means.
His Instagram account.
Do you have an Instagram account?
I did have, but it's not. I have still, but it's not run by me too much frequently. So there is no pictures of room or any other stuff. It's like photography, because I'm doing a photography as a hobby. It's a second hobby of me. So doing some landscape photography all around the globe, in other countries as well, doing my trips. So if you are happy with it, then I'm totally fine with it. If you haven't seen it, you are welcome. I will just try to find just a quick action to find the name of the account, because it's not necessarily the same.
Is it linked?
It's the same, but there is no that pose. It's no one before Flash. If you would see it here, I could just make it like that.
I'm not sure that the camera can pick it up. Okay, there it is.
So there it is. There is a short bio of description: aviation, motorsport, photography, enthusiasts. Be prepared for
no one before Flash.
Yeah.
So there it is. Then Chris Sumner, the photography and video taking on like fantastic, especially considering this great advertisement for the camera. It certainly is. I mean, look at his panoramas. I mean, there is no better advertisement, really.
I get any sponsorship from Nikon for this.
Well, they should give you a free camera or something.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm open to it.
If you get more, more popular and all that, people pick up on it. Maybe they'll give you a new camera.
There is a new model that just came on like last month.
Get on it.
Not to say anything, but yeah. My address is still valid.
So, okay, Joe Crossman. Hi guys, Joe here from Cornwall. Really good to see you both looking well. You're both doing an amazing job. Thank you, Joe. Thanks very much. Thanks for sticking with us here in the chat. Chris, again, is Nellis used as much as Area 51 for black projects, do you think?
I don't think so.
Yeah, Nellis is more training.
More training.
Area 51 is
more
really associated with the Flight Test Center at Edwards Air Force Base. So Edwards Air Force Base in California kind of runs the show
Yeah.
at Area 51. Do you think, Noah asked, do you think NGAD, the Next Generation Air Dominance Project, is still being tested at Area 51?
I think yes. I think that's the primary or major project at the moment that the Air Force is focusing at. So I guess they need to have a secure and remote location to test the stuff out. So yeah, probably yes. The question is
Yeah.
simply that I still believe it as much as I could. I even would say that Area 51 is better planned than Edwards for keep it quiet, because even though maybe Edwards is not so hugely respectful as or popular as being for spotters, I still believe there are some things or things to make something make things secret. So
Yeah.
it's better place to hide some things than Edwards.
It's much more hidden
Yeah.
away here, and it's I really believe that the NGAD, both the competition has been flying out here out of Area 51 and was probably I would go as far as saying that the decision was made by flying them right out of here, out of Area 51,
Probably. Yeah.
against each other, and then somebody said, okay, this is it.
Yeah, the competition.
From what I heard is that Boeing really got a leg up, that they really have a better fighter jet, and it all I heard was it was the right decision that was made, and I can't wait to see that damn thing.
Yeah, I can't wait as well. It will be a big announcement for any aviation buffs and fans, because we haven't seen any kind of disclosure for like 20, almost touching 20 years.
Yeah,
the
well-
last disclosed plane was Boeing Bird of Prey, and it happened in 2002. So
Well, we had the B-21
Yeah, we had
come
the
out of
B-21,
Edwards, but
and it's still at the same level as NGAD,
Yeah.
because I would say they're announced, but they're not yet totally white. Yeah.
yeah, the B-21 they fly it out of Edwards, so it's
Yeah.
they're not as touchy. But the NGAD and all the NGAD is a family of
The
systems.
family of systems.
It's not only the fighter jet, but it's all the stuff that is associated with it. AI control drones and all that good stuff. So, I talked a little bit more about that in a different stream, but that is very, very touchy, and they are very paranoid about that for good reasons. So the truth of Chrome, there's also now very VR, virtual reality experience that is coming out. They remade the whole base in Unreal Engine 5 from Bob's memory. Okay, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, I heard about that thing because it was announced in some circles lately. I put it simple and to not telling any bad words to anyone or just to anything, but just telling my opinion. I wouldn't believe or any stuff that Bob Lazar was ever producing or ever telling. I wouldn't believe any kind of circles that are some kind of sharing his experience or doing anything based on his experience or telling his stories, because these are stories made to hide some more important things. I believe it was something that was made on purpose. They just probably told him to take a good story for people to believe it, so they could make a more prominent, more important stuff. And I would say that's a very clever idea, because when the security is applied, it needs to be kept secret. So
Muddy the waters,
Yes.
exactly. But I would still like to play with that VR thing, and if it's anything that an old guy like me can still understand, I would love to check it out and get into that. Okay, so the next one, Chris, I would imagine.
yeah, I would agree with you.
Islands in the Pacific would be a great choice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. San Nicolas Island being one of them, San Clemente Island. There's a lot of stuff going on there,
Yeah.
and I actually have on the Dreamland Resort website. If you go to the what is that? The related info page, and then you go to other bases and facilities, you're going to find some really cool aerial photography of San Nicolas Island, San Clemente Island. Yeah, there's definitely some hush-hush stuff going on out there.
Also, Diego Garcia, from the operational level, I guess it may be as a stopovers or some projects.
Yeah,
I think so.
They have these altitude reservations sometimes
Yes.
coming out of Area 51, going out to the Pacific. There's stuff flying. Area 51 is not the only place
No,
where stuff is there.
definitely. need to
Source
visit other places too.
Legend asks, Michael, have you seen
Oh.
any evidence that the Chrome F-117 lives at
To
Groom?
be honest, I have never heard of it. If you did, Jörg, you can tell something, but I have never had any kind of evidence or any kind of story, and I'm really focusing on checking these websites and this sightseeing and all this info very frequently, and have never seen anyone mentioning that, especially in latest years. So I have no idea.
Yeah, there was
If there is any link to provide, I would be delighted to see.
Yeah, if you have a link, post it in the chat, please, Source Legend. I know there was a Chrome, I think it was an F-16 or something flying out of Nellis sometime that had a very shiny coating, but I'm not aware of an F-117 having that coating. If you have a link, I'd love to see it. I'd love to check that out.
I would like to.
The truth of Groom, your thoughts on Jerry Freeman, who was able to get onto Papoose Lake and look at and took a selfie.
Yeah, it was not a selfie particularly because there was no ability back then. He just put the camera on the rock and just was posing next to the camera, as I heard. But yeah, I'm taking that idea as, of course, being very dangerous. But I know that guy didn't make it to make harassment to the national security. He was just the proper kind of guy that wanted to give the real story of 49ers.
Yeah.
So it was the thing that pushed him to do this. He even asked about agreement from the Air Force to let him get through. Of course, it was impossible. So he made the decision. I wouldn't make that decision, but
what he did was very dangerous, and probably nowadays.
And he made it twice, actually. Yeah.
Nowadays, with heightened security, I don't think it would be a good idea. I don't think it would be possible, and I don't think it would be a very good idea. Do you think the truth of Groom again? Do you think Utah Proving Grounds Area 52? Why does absolutely nothing come out of there? Do you want to speak to that?
I'm not doing. I'm not. I know. Yeah. I don't know how to say that. I haven't checked Utah when it comes to the secret stuff. Not on my list. No.
The Utah Test and Training Range, and in particular Dugway, it's an interesting area. I'm sure interesting stuff is happening. I don't believe that stuff from Area 51 is moving there. It's not on my radar as much. The ranges are growing together. We got the NTTR, or NIDR, as the military guys call it, the Nevada Test and Training Range. Then you got the Utah Test and Training Range up north of it. You got the range, the 2508 airspace, Edwards in the south. And all these ranges now are growing together. They're establishing corridors between these ranges. And there's Google Earth plugins on my website where you can see these corridors. They are all growing together, and there might be some stuff that is being tested at Groom that needs support up in the Utah ranges. I don't believe that it's like many years ago there was an article that, well, Area 51 has been shut down, it's all moved to Utah and nothing to see here anymore. No, and it's not like that. No. They probably have some stuff. I think the Army is more involved in the Utah ranges, but it's not like stuff goes away from here and goes to Utah. They got it tucked away in a valley here. If you don't see it, I mean, the F-47 is the best example. It's been flying out of there for 6 years, and nobody has seen it. So if they want to keep it secret, they will keep it secret, and we can do whatever the hell we want. We can be on Tikaboo, we can poke around the base all day long. They have this down so well that they are not going anywhere. And the infrastructure in the ranges, tracking cameras, tracking radar, threats, radar systems, it's all right here in the ranges. They can't just pick that stuff up and transport it to Utah. So I would think, if anything, I know that stuff out of Edwards comes up here regularly and flies in our ranges because we have the infrastructure. And if anything is flying out of Utah Test and Training Range, Dugway area, then I would assume that if it's anything that needs our infrastructure, it would actually come here and do its thing here and then go back.
Yeah.
So, have you been to the red flag exercise? Chris Sumner asks that.
No, I have never been to the red flag exercises, but it was on purpose. But because when red flag exercises are ongoing, then there is no activity out of room.
Good point.
So yeah, so there is no point for me to just make the visit during the same times as they are occurring. It would be pretty fine as an additional trip to make and to just stay at Nelly's to observe the typical white projects like B2, B2, B1, plenty of F-16s, plenty of F-15s coming off the base and coming down to the base. And this is on my list as well. Someday, somehow I'll be able to do that, but I now need to focus at work, and then I have a day off the work, so the holidays like today and like the remaining days of the week. So I will be happy to.
It's a different animal.
It's a different
Red
animal,
flag
yeah.
is a different
Something
animal,
else.
and it's a rush. Even if you come up to Rachel here and you sit at Coyote Summit,
Yeah.
and back in the olden days there was more low flying. It is a total rush,
Yeah.
but it's not what you're after right now.
No, I'm typically connected to that more interesting things.
Bush Green, did they choose Boeing because it was the cheapest option? Was it actually the most sophisticated option? Do you
At
want to
the,
answer that?
at the moment, it's hard to tell. In my opinion, they wouldn't choose something because it's cheapest option.
Yeah.
I guess they would choose something that is a good form between the option of the coast and the option that what it gives. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they need to find that right level to mix the things together to make it possible and work. So yeah, that's the thing. I don't think the main point was that it was cheapest. It was probably some part of it, but
Yeah.
not entirely.
I've actually heard that it was a lot better choice and that it pretty much blew Lockheed out of the water. But
Yeah.
that's what I heard under the table, and that's all I can say about that. I really hope that Boeing's military arm is a little better than their civilian arm as far as their safety and security track record goes. I'm sure they
flying
will.
planes back to Europe and from Europe here, so am I
Yeah.
sitting here is not so bad.
Yeah, well, I guess they're doing all right. Doors fall out sometimes, but who cares? Who needs doors anyway? Uh, when will FXA be announced? I don't know.
Oh,
I hope soon.
I hope so
There's
too.
been rumors that it was supposed to be announced last week, and I wish I knew. They don't tell me. They don't tell us.
Maybe they are waiting for us to be at Tikaboo,
Well,
make
you
a
see it.
couple of games, and then they will release it.
Hell, maybe that was what you saw that day with when that Navy F-35 was
maybe.
out there.
But they're late because they show it in the dark, so I could take a photo.
Yeah, they got to bring it on in the daytime so you
Yeah.
can actually get a decent
They
photo.
have ideal occasion right now.
Well, how about just doing an open house and invite you to go in there?
Oh, no, just write me. My phone is running.
Yeah, right. All right, so let's see. We're getting behind here with the questions. Tommy or Torny? I can't quite read.
Torny.
Torny.
Yeah, Torny.
Earlier you said that that is silly to play with security, but had you ever crossed the line or something like that?
No,
Yeah.
because I know that I'm not in my country, yeah, as I would say. So I need to take an advantage of it and just not play silly games. And this is not my intention entirely to do some kind of things like that. So I had never any kind of even connection or a kind of interaction with the Area 51 security at all. I have never ever visited main gate. I have never ever visited back gate. What I'm doing here is just on the legal portion of land, and I'm doing the stuff that makes me able to see the base. And back from the main gate, from the back gate, you couldn't see the base. You could see the matrix around, so it's not my line of interest.
Yeah, and then that's I always tell people when I'm doing tours out here, I tell people it's not like in the X-Files where Mulder hops over the fence and he's right there at the runway. If you were to cross the line, which I really wouldn't suggest anyone do, you're still 20 miles away from the base, depending on where you are. Groom Lake Road, you're about 15 miles away from the base, and they're going to get you before you even get close. So not a good idea.
No.
Terry, hey, Van Halen, great, love your songs, awesome. I'm so glad you're following us. I hope you get to visit us here in Rachel soon. Uh, Gary, do you have any thoughts on the next generation adaptive propulsion engines for the F-47? That's a big question. Gary is, of course, very big into aviation.
Aviation. I have no idea about that, to be honest. I have heard some rumors, but those are not to be repeated.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I don't know. Well, we all don't know really what it's all about. We hear stories and we hear
Yeah, but these are
people's
rumors. Yeah,
interpretation of what it might be, but
yeah.
honestly, I don't really know enough about it.
Yeah.
Gary, you probably know more about it than I do, so I'm
Let
not
me
even going to
know.
waste your time or talking about it. I don't really know that much about it, and
I know.
honestly, the articles that you read and this and that, it's all speculation, and we just won't know for quite a while.
Oh, there is an interesting question from Bash Green. What do you know about the Green Lady? It was the successor to the SR-71. Also, there is the Spearfisher. Yeah, before I started my researches here and doing my video photographing trips, I was almost daily visitor or publisher or poster on Above Top Secret forum. And this is where the Green Lady story originates from. And Spearfisher's story originates from one other guy that I exchanged a lot of emails, even 1 year or 2 years ago. I would say that the member Zapot58, that is a poster now at the new forum, but that is later or better version of Above Top Secret, is a kind of real project because there was some kind of evidence of it, but I'm not sure about details if they are accurate or not. Um, there are a lot of rumors that ties with themselves ties to each other. So I guess that it was the real plane, and it probably is still the real plane. And it's if it is what it is, that the successor to SR-71. I would say I believe it. I would like to see it in an open. I would
Mhm.
hope to see it someday, like sitting inside a museum in Ohio, or like a kind of disclosure, official disclosure for it, because this is the fast movers in general were always a very touchy subject for me because I like speed. So
Okay.
hence I was a motorsport and racing driver
Yeah.
back then. But yeah, speaking about the Green Lady, it's a kind of it was supposed to be a kind of um, competition between the Free Letter Agency and Air Force, and they made some kind of improvements during the older years. So there were at least a few versions of the Green Lady. Of course, the Green Lady was the final one. There were some earlier models that had the different names, and yeah, that was the successor, probably multi-mission. So the replacement to the SR-71 with some strike mission to it. And yeah, it was probably flying out of Edwards, maybe to Diego Garcha, to the not seen places, but there is not
Mhm.
a lot of info right now about it. Maybe because it was on the About Top Secret forum, and the new forum that came online after About Top Secret is not frequently used by many users, so there is no new data. But
Mhm.
I would be happy to discuss that thing. If you are not against it, Bash Green, you can contact me and we can at least exchange some rumors, because it is rumors, so it's not a fact. We cannot tell by fact because we are not into the position for doing that, and we don't
Yeah.
know the facts. But I will be happy to exchange our opinions. And
And
I guess the point with the Green Lady was that the first craft that made with the initial version that was leading up to the Green Lady, maybe the rumored or what made the rumored of F-121 Sentinel. That was, of course, not the real project, but some kind of portion for it might have been leading on some, or might have been prompt on some real story just behind it. If you are up to it, I'm happy to discuss that kind of stuff, particularly the fast movers. So just email me.
we should also say that a lot of people in the Dreamland Resort
Yeah,
discussion forum are also very interested in this stuff. So you can,
yeah,
by all means, contact Michael directly or post it in our discussion forum on the dreamlandresort.com website. Of course, Michael will get back to you, and also maybe some other people might be interested in discussing that. that's kind of stuff that the discussion forum is for. So by all means, go for it. Post your thoughts there, and you'll probably be surprised by the responses that you're going to
Yeah.
get.
And also, you mentioned the Spearfisher. It's of course the nickname for a different aircraft, the one that has a very long nose. I would say it has some kind of quiet boom technology in it, and it's much faster than the Green 80, as far as I heard. But it's of course the project that's still not taking as being as a fact. Yeah.
Mm.
So we're talking about rumors still, but yeah, I'm open to discuss this as well.
Cool. And Joshua Nyhus says
Oh,
Vandenberg does.
hello.
Yeah, I recognize that
Yeah,
name.
I really appreciate the guy. You are very fine.
Long time. I know that name goes way back. He's been interested in this. Been with Dreamland Resort also for a long time. Vandenberg does stuff too. They had the RQ 170 out there for testing for a while. Honestly, tell the truth, I was not aware that they did. Be interested. Is that something that you saw, that you read somewhere? How do you know about that?
Vanderbank got a good portion of other stuff too, at least as far as we can tell from the online
Oops.
rumors. So I would believe that they were tasting AQ170 from there and could operate even on operational
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's got to be
Yeah,
operating
because
from
it's
somewhere.
because it's the operational base rather than the testing.
There's Altner from France, I think.
Arthur, hello Arthur.
What do you think about the two tailless aircraft that China is testing? Quite frankly, I go for it.
Yeah. Oh, hello, man. That's the thing. You are at the same age, basically at the same age as me. We exchanged some emails or communications back then. I appreciate it, of course. And back to your question, um, to be honest, I'm not particularly interested in China military at all. To be honest, they made some kind of aircraft after all these days, but I'm looking for some kind of technology, and I know the United States is leading when it comes to the technology and progression of it. So what other stations said, it's mainly based on what the United States made and what they established. So that's why I'm probably not so interested in the other countries, the United
Yeah.
States.
Well,
That's because of that, yeah.
you don't know what to think of it, and there's a lot of misinformation coming out of China.
Yeah,
And honestly, I wouldn't know how to separate fact from fiction.
yeah. There's some
And
things that are made on purpose. So I even don't believe that all of the videos or the photos that are online, they are so good quality that if they would like really to make it quiet, they would take some kind of activities to not to make it off the internet, and they are still online. So I guess maybe it's a play game or some kind of something like that.
I think it's it's hard to tell what is real and what not. And but I think at the same time, they are a force to be reckoned with. Um, we don't want to underestimate what they can do, but it's very hard. I'm really hoping that our intelligence community is all over it, and that they're getting good intelligence.
Yeah.
What is going on there? Anything that we see in the media, I take
With
with a great
salt,
grain of salt. So, Chris Sumner, is Aurora still a project? Is there an SR-72?
Oh, that's my funny. So yeah, the Aurora is something that is still researching for all these years. When I started to learn about Black Project, Aurora was the first project that I came reading about, and I believe the Aurora was not a project like at a single aircraft. If it was in that purpose to build some kind of hypersonic or high supersonic aircraft back then, which I don't know because it seems that there was no intention for it, so it could be all just be rumors. But if it was like NGAD program today, so it was not totally about one particular aircraft, but I believe it was like a group probably of aircraft that had a similar propulsion system or sharing similar abilities to get to some speeds.
Well, I
Yeah.
think the Aurora, the name came from some financial line item. It's in Pete Merlin's book. I don't know
No.
the exact ins and outs because
It was from the budget of B2 on
for
the
the
yeah
B2
from the
budget,
two
yeah. So I think what happened is it just started coming up as a buzzword, and then
yeah
anything that anybody saw
yeah
as a
was Aurora
sighting was
yeah
the aurora. You know, I see something flying up and the donuts on the rope thing,
yeah
gotta be the aurora. I
yeah
see something over here, gotta be the aurora. So it became this all-encompassing thing.
yes, that was what it has to be back then.
I think that there's a lot of projects also that never see the light of day that are, you know, developed and then this doesn't work too well. Let's
Yeah.
put it in a hangar and forget about it.
Yeah, there are plenty of technology demonstrators or prototypes that massively flew out of those places like here, Groom Lake or Edwards or
Yeah.
anywhere else that were never ever mentioned online, but they were indeed a project and existed. But you know, the programs are existing to test or to enhance a technology to some levels. So if they pass forward with the levels of the technology or learn some kind of important lessons from this process, there is no need to still keep these projects ongoing. So they just put it to the desert of the desert,
Yeah.
or
And
just made it online, like Burying Bird of Prey. Yeah.
yeah, and the problem they're having with these things is, of course, the technology may be in something that is still classified. So you
Yes.
can't just put it all in a museum like the Tacit Blue. They had to wait until the B2 was established enough and was no longer classified because until they could come out with that because it would give away certain features
Yes.
of the B2. So they got to just shove it all in some corner of the hangar and wait for a
Wait
while,
for it.
and then it might be safe to bring it out.
I hope to soon see some of these
So,
aircraft. Yeah.
you know, they always say that Area 51 is 30 years ahead of what we consider
Yeah.
the state of the art technology.
I would tend to believe it.
That's amazing. I mean, it
Amazing.
means
Yeah.
that, you know, I got to wait 30 years to see what they're playing with right now. Are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah.
But that's the way it is.
Yeah.
And just imagine sometimes I think these people that work out there, that work on these
Yes.
projects,
And imagine that they're leading the same line of light as we today. So this buying the same things in the groceries,
yeah,
eating the same things, and yet they're going to work and do some things on totally out of standing level.
yeah, and
And they're
then they
getting
go
back.
home and they
Yeah.
can't tell their wives where they're going. They
Yeah.
can't tell their wives what they're doing. I always thought that is it's got to take a special person to do that,
Yes.
and they are very selective in hiring
They need
people
to be
out
selected.
there.
Yeah.
So okay, let's move on here. We got a bunch of questions to go through. The Chrome F-117 was a few years ago, and I haven't heard much discussion about it either. It always intrigued me. Again, if you find any link
Yeah.
about it, I mean, post it in our discussion forum on the dreamlandresort.com website. I'd love to read about it. I don't know much about it, honestly.
That's the same poster.
There's a few photos in the article that shows the F-117.
Hmm.
Uh,
I I don't know, to be honest, what article are you referring to, but as Joe said, you can put your link to the chat
yeah,
or
let's
to
see
the
if we
forum and
posted a
you'll be
link.
fine.
Oh God, we are way behind with the question. We got to speed it up a little bit. Just looking if you post a link here,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like it. Okay, we got to pick up the pace here a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Folks, I'm really excited to see all these questions, but we're gonna
I'm
have
as
to
well.
we're gonna have to get through this a little quicker. Michael, would you accept a job at Area 51 knowing secrecy is for life, it seems?
You know, for me, being even as a public person, like commercial person here, is what is like where to belong. I'm just getting to this place and I'm just feeling like where to belong. It's something about us because work is something else, yeah. But if I would intended to get a job, if someone would offer me a job, which is probably won't ever happen for obvious reasons, let alone even that I'm not a United States citizen, that would be
You couldn't talk about what you're seeing there. So would you do it?
I would keep just it. I would keep it for myself. I would be happy with what I know. I wouldn't have it's the same basis as for photographing secret aircraft flying around here. If I would catch something, I wouldn't post it online. That there is a something, the same idea behind it. You know the things, you keep it for quiet. Yeah.
So you can't go home and tell Gabriela about it. Would you still take the job, or would you rather say, I'd rather do what I'm doing?
I'm just doing some aviation stuff. I would tell that. that much
Yeah.
as much as I could. But she wouldn't be sad about that because he don't know much. She don't know
Well,
much about that.
but you know, you're doing this really cool stuff. You're working with cutting edge technology, and you can't go home and tell your buddies about it. You can't tell your wife, girlfriend about it. Uh, it's got to be difficult.
But there is a thing about that, that even though if I would like to speak with them about it, there is one-liner communication because they don't know the things about it. So
Mhm.
there wouldn't be actually there any kind of conversation. They could just listen because they wouldn't know. So
Yeah.
no,
Well,
I think I would just definitely I would just keep it for myself because I would have no other partners to speak with because no one would know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
and that's the funny thing is, uh, you couldn't even if you work out there, you can't even talk to your buddies at work about what you're doing because they may be read into a different project. They may not even be privy to the information that you have. So literally, I mean, the
Yeah.
guys that you fly, assume you work out there and you fly home to Vegas on a Janet, you can't even talk to the guy that's sitting next to you on the plane, can't even talk shop about work with him because you don't know if he's cleared for your project. I mean,
No, and this is something that could be difficult from the level of you you know that someone is working with you. You got a good friendship, but above of that is all the OSA thing. So the official secretaries that you need to keep as granted, you need to keep it as serious as it possible. And I wouldn't even think to cross it, even with
yeah,
my best friend, because it's national security and it
right.
needs to be kept secret. If they would release the information to all of the employees on the project, they would do so. And if they didn't, then there is some reason for that. Yeah, that's
So
basically.
here's a
Yeah.
good question. Will Trump's from Bush Green, will Trump's tariffs affect Area 51? Coming from Europe, what do you think?
Um, I'm not entirely sure I understand the question.
The
Uh,
tariffs that Trump is just enacting on imports from other countries.
ah, I'm fear about that because
We don't
that,
want to get into politics here, so
yeah.
let's
But just on my example, it would really make my heart fade because I couldn't do my hobby here
yeah,
anymore. There would just be no point and no ability for me to travel here, even though I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not violating any secrets or national laws. That could be a hurt. Yeah,
yeah.
that could be a hurt.
It really I don't think I have, let's put it that way. I'm confident that the black budget is above uh, being touched by Trump because he's not a lot of. I'm not getting into politics here, but the president is not necessarily read into projects at Area 51. The president is
Yeah,
told, look, we need this much money to keep our country safe.
yeah,
And on very rare occasions, I know that Bush Sr. was at Area 51 once when he was VP, vice president, but it's not like the president can say, I want to go in there and check it
yeah,
out and
yeah.
open every door and
It wouldn't
peek
work. It
inside.
wouldn't work. Yeah.
So I'm confident that their budget is somewhat independent from the other cuts that are going on and from the tariffs. I really think that what they are doing there, by definition, it doesn't depend much on international trade. It's our stuff, and it's stuff very much made in USA that they are playing with there. So my gut feeling is honestly, it doesn't affect it much um, directly. Indirectly, supply chain and all that good stuff, maybe. But anyway, let's leave it at that. I really, this is I don't want to get into politics. Terry, thank you. So, you know, I'm watching your videos. You guys do a great Van Halen show, and maybe I get to see it
Yeah.
one of these days. I appreciate you sending me these emails with all these videos. Uh, Terry, he's in a band that play Van Halen songs and
Oh,
really cool stuff.
I haven't heard about you, Terry,
One of my,
before.
I'll show you a video
Yeah,
later.
perfect.
One of my favorite bands when I was younger, probably
Wow.
when I was your age. Don B, any idea when you may go live tomorrow as you go up peak.
And to be honest, that is something we weren't thinking about, because there is no signal as much strong as possible to make it possible. And there is, of course, the security thing that as long as you're taking the more equipment with you, you need to tens on weight, yeah. So judging by the fact that we are just doing the stay for one day, we want to make it as much pleasurable as we can.
Yeah. I'm thinking maybe 5 p.m. our time,
Yeah.
plus minus an hour maybe. We're not going to. I haven't figured out how to hook my camera up to my phone for the live stream, so we're not going to be able to show you. We're not going to be able to show you. Maybe we can rig something and actually show you a little bit on the camera, but it's we're not. I want to do the live stream before it gets dark, so I'm thinking maybe between 5 and 6 tomorrow. So stay tuned, subscribe to my channel, and then you get a notice when the live stream is up. I can't promise you anything. It depends on how good of a sales signal I'm going to have up there. But that's about the plan. The truth of groom element, you probably, element 150 he's talking about, has been added to the chart officially. Can a place like Area 51 produce such an element?
No, it's difficult to use, judging by the fact that if it's the element, it's not so as it was described by Bob Lazar. So, but it's about the physics, so I'm not good at that.
Yeah, it has different properties of the element of 115 that has been discovered is very it breaks down very quickly. It has a very short half-life, so it's not anything what Bob Lazar describes. Now, of course, people say that there may be isotopes of that element that are stable, but it just doesn't seem to be anything like what Bob Lazar describes.
There was that.
Chris Sumner, where's China's Area 51? Any evidence on Google Maps like that?
As mentioned before, it's not my line of interest, so I didn't check China for that. I don't think that they would even show the satellite photos of it. They could probably make it blurry to not show the details. But I haven't checked, to be honest. No.
Yeah. Well, and you, if you're a Chinese and you want to go take photos around China's Area 51, don't even think about it. You couldn't do the stuff that we're doing out here. You'd be in prison or worse if you were to do that over there. So I honestly don't know. I'm sure they have one, maybe more than that, but they are camouflage. We don't know much about them, and yeah, like Michael said, it's not really. I'm not that interested. There's so much on with Area 51 that some other things I just decide to focus on Area 51. We really don't know much about that. I know more about the Green Lady inscription, not from above.
I would be delighted to hear more via the email. Yes, really appreciate it. Yeah, you can write me down to my email. I will be happy to discuss.
That's awesome. That's exactly what I was trying to accomplish. You get some people out of the woodwork and get you in touch with them.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Please do get in touch with Mike. Yeah. Awesome.
I'm amazed. Yeah.
It's an open secret in the Air Force. Okay, awesome. Yeah, great. Go for it. Maybe even if you want to keep it under wraps, go email or discuss it in the discussion forum on my website. It's up to you.
Feel free to mail, or feel free to post.
We've had the U2 over the UK recently flying out of one of the Air Force bases, spotting a new appendage. Any ideas on what that is? Do you have photos? Do you have a link? I've heard buzzing about that, but I'm really not very familiar with that. Have you seen anything?
Yeah, because I'm on the group of Mildenhall and Lakenheath, the group of spotters there, and yet it's not so rare to see the U2 flying up out of the UK, even recently. But I'm not sure about the equipment. I just saw the notification that there were some pictures of that, but I not get to the top of it now.
Yeah, he said he's talking about a new appendage, something new mounted to the U2.
I'd be curious. I would like to see that. Yeah.
there was photos. Joshua and I, there was photos of the new appendage. I'd be curious to see them. But again, you can only do so much, and I'm doing so much with Area 51 that some other things sometimes fall by the wayside. The Truth of Groom. Can you do a live stream movie watch called Area 51, directed by the found footage guy, Paranormal Activity? That's a question and a half. So you're talking about that found footage. Yeah, that's a lot of that is I would take that with a very big grain of salt.
Yeah, I would.
There's a lot of people that hype up stuff around here. We are trying to keep it real. And
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what you're referring to. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the question here, but it doesn't. What we're trying to do doesn't go in the direction of these found footage videos.
Yeah.
The United States does the research and development, and China steals the technology. You got that right, Gary. That's the way it works. But I'm hoping that it also works the other way. Oops. Okay.
Good. Down.
Yeah, we gotta. There's a lot of questions, which is great, but we gotta get through this. The War Zone did an article on the 170 being at Vandenberg. Okay, exclusive. Great. I'm gonna look for that.
I seem to remember that article. I seem to read that at this one time. It was online, yeah.
At the Vandenberg Air Force Base. I'll look for it later. That's cool. Thanks for the heads up. Bush Green Lady flew at Mark 6 and was powered by
Boranis.
I have never even heard of it. Zip fuel. Spearfisher was the successor to the Green Lady, flies at Mark 10 and 11.
The Zip fuel is probably making a ERP7, so the same fuel type the Blackbird used. And additionally to that, there is maybe a kerosene or something like that. Something that is a green additive that makes it possible to push it up, so make it like the Xbox to raise the speed.
Okay.
And the question to you, Bashvin, how long do you think the Green Lady was intended to fly? Was it flying in the 90s already? Is it the direct successor to the SL-71, or was it something between that and Blackbird, original Blackbird? If you could exchange in the emails or on the chat here, I would be glad.
You guys need to get in touch.
Yeah, definitely.
The Truth of Groom. Do you think Area 51 can kidnap Kenny Veach? I barely know who that is. I don't think they kidnapped anyone.
That was a posting lately about it, but no, it's just like a joke.
I don't think they kidnapped anyone. They got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
Bush Green, what was the other forum you mentioned that is newer than Above Top Secret?
It's DennyIgnorance.org. DennyIgnorance.org. They have a kind of like a spaceship on the logo, and there is no plenty user. The aviation section of the of that forum is nowhere close as to what was being on Above Top Secret. So no one is posting their own.
Deny ignorance.
I've
heard about that. I don't think I've ever seen the site, but denyignorance.org.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I heard about it. I don't think I've looked at it yet. I gotta take a look at that. Okay, there's a direct answer to Joshua. That would have been a long time ago. The RQ-17 was captured in Iran. Okay, it was a while ago. Okay, somebody, JJ said photographer Matt Hartman at Shore Alone Films has photographed the RQ-170 at Vandenberg as recently as 2022. Okay, good info. Quit 76, Mr. Arno. I got the book you recommended on Amazon. Really great. Awesome. Peter Merlin's book. Yeah, he wrote the Bible on Area 51. I'm glad you like it. It's literally the Bible on Area 51.
Yeah, I have one copy at my home as well.
Elias Sporbaum, greetings, gentlemen. Greetings back to you. Thank you for watching.
Hello.
That sounds familiar. Is that someone that you have conversed with?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Plenty of the guys that I really appreciate are here and listening to us. I like to regard that, say hello, and I'm happy that you all came online to see me. It's glad that you are still watching us.
Awesome. You bring some fresh blood in here. That's awesome. That's what we want. This is all my stream, my website, all that stuff that I'm doing. It's all for you, and we need some young people there. It's not an old man's club. It's I'm hoping to get some fresh blood in there, some young people to run with it. Like I said, we want to sit back in the rocking chair and retire someday. I wonder what they do with them. Okay, that was a direct.
Okay.
Probably chasing the aliens. Yeah. They're still playing the music out of. Oops. Where were we?
Yeah, that's here. Oh.
They're still playing the music out of Groom. We just checked before we did the show. They're not playing it right now. Let's see, they're playing it now. Maybe they turned it on for us, but they are still occasionally playing.
Maybe they will run it at the moment because they know that.
They may be, let's see. Nope, nothing there on 99.1. Crank up the gain a little bit. Yeah, I don't know if you can even hear it. I can barely pick up the 99.1. They're not playing the 99.9 right now, but they did play a couple of days ago. So it was nice. They were nice enough to play the 99.9 actually when I was out there with some friends, and we were just kind of rocking out to that. It's catchy music. I love it. Alien Spore Bomb music, question mark. Yeah, they're playing music. There's a couple of videos on my YouTube channel about it. Check it out. They got 2 FM radio stations inside of Area 51. No joke. Check it out. It's for real. And every once in a while, I actually have the whole. I think it's about a 70-minute soundtrack that they are playing. I got it all on my YouTube channel here in one of the videos. Check it out. It's pretty catchy music. For passive radar, Quid 76 says for passive radar research. That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Anyone here from Smithers lately? Hope he's okay.
Yeah, I did some kind of email communication back when he was still around, and one time he just said to me that he needs to move to different things because he got an upgrade of the level of some kind of work he is doing, so he won't pause anymore. But he was so fine, so glad in his meaning. He wished me all the best, and from that point in time, it was like 1 year and 3 months ago, there was completely no contact. Yeah,
to this day, I don't know what to think of him.
It's difficult because it may be like partly true.
Yeah.
Maybe it is totally false. I personally, I would tend to believe it because I would like to believe in the things that was mentioned by him. Of course, I won't mention it here, but to be honest, on the other side of it, there is always a possibility that it was probably some kind of imagination. I'm not taking it as granted. I'm just guessing now. So if you're listening to speakers, I'm not against.
He certainly sparked some great discussions in our discussion forum. Okay, I wanted to keep it at 2 hours. We got to wrap it up here in a minute. Let's go through these questions. New to me, it looks like a dome sitting on top of the fuse. Oh, okay, that's the appendage on the U2. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. Answering questions. It's a fascinating subject. Good luck with Tikaboo. Be safe and keep us great.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work and content. We will. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Parts are fitted on the aircraft. Okay, for insertions of okay, on the U2. Parts are fitted on the aircraft for insertions of SF Hey-Ho jumps. I don't think they're doing jumps out of U2s, but I'm not sure if I'm maybe misunderstanding the reply. Can Starlink work at Tikaboo Peak? Yes, it can, absolutely. If I had a Starlink setup, but you would have to have one that is mobile, and quite honestly, that costs an arm and a leg. I can't afford that right now. I would love to. We had a Starlink set up last week when we did the live stream with my buddy. but with two of my buddies actually out in the field. You probably saw the live streams. I don't have I don't have a Starlink setup that can transmit from Tikaboo. Has there been disclosure on your live stream from present or former employees? Um, there are people that portray themselves as, and Smithers was one of them that portrays himself as being in the know. I know there are people posting on my discussion forum that know a little bit more than others, but they don't go in your face and tell you they are in the know. So whenever somebody comes out and says that they are in the know, I'm always a little hesitant about that. I'm part of the younger generation, Auto Solutions. I'm part of the younger generation into Groom Lake. I'm very glad you decided to get on YouTube. Thanks for recommending Peter Merlin. Thank you for the Google Earth plugins. Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy that stuff. That's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it all for you guys. I'm as well, and also glad for the site. Quit 76. Awesome. My even master plan is working. We are attracting young people. Who would have thought? You have to do a video on the road rise. You know what? Auto Solutions is asking that. I am planning on doing that, and I am working on having a very special guest for that. So that's all I'm going to say on that right now. And it may not happen today or tomorrow, but it will happen. Alien Spore Bomb, anyone have any comments on the X273 image someone uploaded?
Oh. Yeah,
Go for it.
I think no, it was on a bathtub secret like maybe a little bit more than 10 years ago. I believe that it could be one of those aircraft, the mystery aircraft that were spotted above Texas and Kansas back in 2014. And that is my leading opinion on what that X-273 was. It might be this, might be not, but if someone would ask me, I would tell that it was one of those. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Bay Craig just looks like a fuel pod, perhaps. Okay, well that makes a lot of sense. Extra fuel pod on the U2 for long range operations. That makes a lot of sense. And look, there's yeah, look who's there. Gabriela. Hey, Gabriela, how are you? Sorry you couldn't come this time. Come with Michael this time. Interesting how big the possibility that someone from the base is watching now. Just imagine them on something like a lunch break, sitting there being what is the FCN? What is that short for? FCN sake?
It's probably about.
Okay.
There's another one.
You know they're watching us right now, and they're probably laughing at us. You know,
they know my face. They would even talk to me at Little Island restaurant if they could.
But you know what, guys? Of Area 51, you're watching us today. We are going to be watching you tomorrow. Yeah. So,
Gabriela, I'm so happy that you're still watching us. I really appreciate it. Love you.
Awesome. And I sure hope, Gabriela, that next time you come with Michael again.
I hope so. I would do my best for her to bring her back, even in my suitcase.
Bush Green, the Green Lady is a hypersonic aircraft formerly operated by the U.S. Air Force and National Reconnaissance Office, used as a camera plane for mostly Middle East and East Asian coastal overflights. I haven't really heard much about it.
That is very interesting. Yeah.
Again, you guys need to chat. That's all I'm going to say about that. Green Lady was eventually retired and given the CIA. Actually, I would like to encourage you to also post on my discussion forum. You have a lot of good information, and it needs to be out there. So if this is something, obviously you're posting in the chat, if you're comfortable with posting this publicly, please do post it in my discussion forum, and you'll be surprised how many people are into this.
Yeah,
you'll get some good response. And Michael can, if you don't know how to get on the forum, get in touch with Michael. He can get you set up, and that's what I want. That's what the discussion forum is for. It's not for anyone to showcase how great they are or this or that. It's for sharing information. Will the life be saved? I couldn't watch entirely. Will the life be saved? What life?
Oh, I mean the broadcast, if it will be saved for later
Oh,
thing.
yes, it will. It
But I
will.
have a question. Is the live chat still able to be saved along
Yes.
with yeah?
Yes, when you watch the live chat, when you watch the broadcast later, it's going to be one of the videos.
Retrieve, I mean, yeah.
You go to the live tab, and it's going to be there. And there's a below the tab, there's a button that you click to open the chat. You can see the entire chat next to the replay of the video. So yes, it will be. The replacement for the retired Green Lady is called Spearfisher and has been flying since 2005, 2006, and is pretty much the mainstay recon aircraft of the United States. That's, it's been flying for 20 years and we don't know about it. That tells you how good these guys are. I don't doubt it. I totally, I'm with you on that. I don't know much about it, but you don't read much about it. So again, it's the old magician's trick: do something over here, and while the other hand is doing something you don't want to see.
I think that some kind of information about that kind of replacement about the green and the Sparfisher came from the guy that was back in the day the above top secret, the Stargate SG7 guy, as I remember. Maybe that was the case because I somewhat remember details.
Yeah, I never really followed that forum. So
But Stargate SG7, yeah, that was the nickname, I believe.
I'd love for you guys to come on the Dreamland Resort discussion forum. Yes, it looks a little old-fashioned because it was designed in the late 90s, and I have never changed it, but it does its job, it works, and I'd love to see some discussions just like this on the forum.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you still get .gov domain to the site? You know what, I'm getting a lot of no domain indication. They got smarter. They don't use .gov domains. So there's a lot of traffic that I can't identify where it's coming from. They use proxies, this and that. So as we get smarter, they get smarter too. And quite honestly, I don't keep a log of traffic or expose anything, or my site is being watched from various agencies, just like other websites and other discussion forums are too. But I don't want to get into the FBI raid. The fact that that happened doesn't concern me too much. It's over with. It was a little warning shot, and that's all it was. Nothing will ever come out of it because honestly, I didn't do anything wrong. So I'm not too concerned about who looks at my website. And Quid 76, Michael, is that a Polish flag on your shirt? It sure is.
Yeah. Oh, it's here. It even mentions my Polish flag, so my nationality along with my first name and surname and my nickname. So no one before Flash. Yeah.
And then you got the logo on the other side too, the Groom Lake Tigers.
The Groom Lake Tigers. This is my artwork that I made just before my trip here. I made it quick using some kind of abilities in a Photoshop, so make it like on the private T-shirt.
And you got a logo on the back too.
If you look at that, you have a video at the end.
Awesome. Awesome. So he came prepared. Got the essentials covered.
Awesome. I know there will be some fantastic crowd to watch us. So yeah, thank you guys.
Okay, Chris Sumner is the Powerlines view your number 2 view after Tikaboo? I'd say so. Have you ever been at that? You've been at the Powerlines.
I've been one time, but there was no action at the time I was there.
Yeah.
I think you can see very good portion on the quite low altitude above the base.
Yeah.
So you tend to have some kind of idea of what is going on there.
Yeah.
But it's still you are unable to see the buildings, the runway.
Right.
So, but this is very accessible point because you can get to the point by car.
Yeah. Exactly. You can drive right up. And, for old folks like me, or my generation, we can drive up there and I can sit there with my scanner. And folks, I might actually do another scanner video up there.
Yeah, because the scanner quality, like the signal, is very good there.
Yeah, exactly.
You could hear any kind of even ground communication. So it's kind of.
Gabriella again. Of course, I'm watching. Cannot be there. Hope to have opportunity next time. So I will keep a loot at Janet arriving
look at the
A
giant
look
arriving.
at
Yeah,
giants
because
arriving.
we
I'd love to
were
see you
flying
guys.
ladder. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we hope to see you soon again.
Wow, my love.
Love the new shirt, bud.
Oh,
Awesome, great shirt.
Joshua, tell me your size. I will send it back to you.
Awesome. Nice. Get in touch with him.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're over the 2 hour mark.
Wow.
Maybe we'll do another chat a little later. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Wow.
We got to get ready
I
for
will
our
be
big
happy.
adventure, but maybe we'll do a quick chat later today. Stay tuned and subscribe to my channel. That way you'll always know when the live stream is going on. Thank you all. They say the new Nikon P1100 has better focusing and faster replication. Okay, faster reactions. Okay, well,
Then get.
hey,
Oh, I can.
maybe they'll set you up with one for a little product placement here. Yeah. Folks, thank you all for watching. We have really enjoyed this.
You really enjoyed this. Thank you guys for coming up to this live broadcast. Thank you for asking the questions. I was delighted to answer them. And hopefully we'll get back to the live broadcasting soon. Maybe even today. We'll look if we are able to do that because we need to prepare for our journey tomorrow. But yeah, that was amazing time for me. Thank you guys once again.
Awesome. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you again, maybe from the top of Tikaboo.
Yeah.